Hi everyone, it's Dr. Circus, and I want to spend some time going over this last assignment in the Integrative Leadership module to make sure that you fully understand the Integrative Leadership model and emotional intelligence and how the two work together, all right? So let's take a look at what you need to do. First off, if you have not already reviewed all the material in this module and worked your way through the lessons and taken the quizzes that are related to the integrative leadership domains, then you need to go back and do that now. You really cannot complete this assignment without completing each of the prior assignments. So please make sure that you've done that before starting this assignment. So for this assignment, you are going to draw on everything that you've learned about leadership and emotional intelligence so far, okay? Copy the table below, and let me just scroll down here, and I want to show you that there is a table, and you need to copy this table, and all you have to do is just select the table, okay, and then copy and paste it into the assignment box. So when you hit Start Assignment, it's going to open up a text box, and you can just copy and paste that table right in there. And for this assignment, you're going to be completing the table, all right? So copy the table, paste it into the text box. You're going to complete the second column by listing each of the 5 domains that were discussed in this module from the lessons and do them in order, okay? Beginning with self-leadership. So that's a clue about what those domains are. So right here, you've got this first column and you don't need to finish that because I've already done that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are 5 domains of leadership in this model. So the first domain is self-leadership, and then you need to fill in what the names of the other domains are. And hopefully you know those because you viewed the lesson materials, you completed the quizzes, and you feel really confident that you know what those domains are. Then, once you've done that, go into this third column where it says list 3 leadership skills for this domain based on what was said in the lessons in this module. The lessons in the module specifically called out specific leadership skills that are required at each of the different domains or levels of leadership. So for each one, you're going to put in the name of this leadership. I told you the first one was self-leadership. So what are 3 leadership skills associated with self-leadership? You're going to fill that in right there. And then for the remaining domains, and I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you should know them because they are contained in the lessons in this module. For the second domain, you're going to put down the name of that domain, and then you're going to list 3 leadership skills that are important for people who are operating at that second domain of leadership. Same thing for the third domain, the fourth domain, and the 5th domain. Keep in mind, we combined the 4th and 5th domains into one lesson. However, they are 2 different domains. So make sure that you've covered those. Okay. Then here's what it says. Name a person who excels as a leader in each domain. For the very first domain, which we said was self-leadership, you must use yourself as an example because I'm sure that you have leadership skills, self-leadership skills, and I want you to think about those. For the second and third domains, you can choose someone you know personally, or you can choose somebody famous. So if you want to choose a manager, a mentor, an instructor, a coach, a relative, somebody you know, could be a friend, and it could be you, by the way, so that's perfectly acceptable too. Put in the name of someone you know personally, or somebody, could be somebody famous, so lots of people do choose famous people, and could be people who are living or people who are no longer alive. So historical figures are fine. And then for the 4th and 5th domains, you have to choose people who are famous enough to have a Wikipedia page. So in other words, the 4th and 5th domain choices of people have to be folks who I could find information about in case I'm not familiar with them. So if there's somebody who was a leader from your country or somebody who's a leader in an area that you have great interest, I want to be able to read about them. And actually, I've had such a wonderful time learning about some of the leaders who my students admire, and some of them are people who I'm just not familiar with. So I've learned a lot from you. So those have to be people who are famous enough to have a Wikipedia page. All right. So if you put in the name of somebody and I cannot find information about them, that's not going to be good enough. All right. You got that? The first domain has to be yourself, so put down your own name. And then for the second and third domains, you can choose someone you know or somebody famous. And of course, it could also be you. For the fourth and fifth, you're not going to choose somebody, you're not going to choose yourself, and you're not going to choose somebody who's just close to you unless they are famous. They have to be famous enough to have a Wikipedia page. Once you have all that, then I want you to give a specific example of an instance when this person demonstrated exceptional leadership and emotional intelligence related to this domain. Keep it short, but keep it specific, and make sure that you use Grammarly. So back up here in these instructions, I just want to give you an example. Let's say that you are looking at the fifth domain of leadership. And let's say that the person you've identified as a great leader in the fifth domain is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, so that's a good person to choose. A good example of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s leadership would be if you said, well, he worded his I Have a Dream speech by making the analogy that African Americans had been issued a bad check. He knew that white Americans would be listening and they would understand and relate sympathetically to this analogy. All right, so this demonstrates Dr. King's great emotional intelligence and how he was able to use that, his leadership, his emotional intelligence, and his leadership to influence American culture. It's a great example. A bad example, and we'll still take Dr. Martin Luther King, but if you don't write it up correctly and you just say, Dr. Martin Luther King was a great leader in the fifth domain because he fought for civil rights. Okay, well, maybe true, but it's not specific enough. Your answer's too vague, and it's not meaningful, and it has nothing to do with Dr. King's emotional intelligence or his influence as a leader. Just saying he fought for civil rights doesn't give me enough information. You need to give me a specific example of something that each person in each of those domains did in order to demonstrated their great leadership skills coupled with emotional intelligence. All right? If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. Don't forget, each of those domain names is in the module, so if you're not sure what they are, you need to go back and figure out what they are. I told you the first one is going to be self-leadership. Find the other 4 and then fill in the rest of the chart. All right? Take care now.